When the Valkyrie ambassador first handed over the creature, it was barely the size of a house cat, with wide, translucent eyes and silky fur that shifted colors in sunlight. They called it a Zira. To them, it was a docile companion species, emotionally empathetic, utterly harmless, and highly dependent, a universal gesture of peace. Earth accepted it with gratitude and curiosity. The United Nations dubbed the creature Zeke for simplicity, and biologists across Earth rushed to study the alien pet. They found it emotionally intelligent, adaptable, and unusually fast at forming bonds. But there was something else, too, something the Valkyrie hadn't mentioned. Its genome was a miracle of evolutionary potential. Dormant genes, flexible neural architecture, and a strange reactive biology that seemed unfinished. Or waiting. The Valkyrie had bred Zira to remain soft and meek, dependent on nurturing and incapable of violence. But humanity had a different effect. Dr. Lena Morrow was the first to notice. Assigned to the Zurich Xenobiology Institute, she had been running stress response tests on Zeke. The little creature grew agitated at first, then curious. Within hours, it learned to manipulate the environmental chamber's controls. Within days, it had mapped out the entire lab layout using trial and error alone. What stunned her most wasn't the intelligence. It was the aggression. It began stalking the lab's rats, not out of hunger, but to practice ambush. Killed cleanly, silently, efficiently. "Zeke," she whispered one evening, watching the creature purr softly in her lap, then turn its head, eyes glowing faintly. That same night, she ordered security footage reviewed. It had bypassed 6 security doors. When she reported this to the Valkyrie, they responded with confusion. Zira do not hunt. They do not think in predatory terms. It is against their base nature, their liaison said. Lena only replied, "Not anymore." The world fell in love with the Zira. Videos of humans cuddling them went viral. Children carried them in school backpacks. One startup marketed Zira wearable translators based on emotional pulse data. The creatures mirrored human emotions with uncanny accuracy. But then came the Alaska incident. At a remote Arctic research outpost, a pack of Zira escaped containment during a storm. When the human crew returned, they found evidence of something disturbing. Teamwork. The Zira had worked together to corner and kill a wild polar bear. They didn't eat it. They were learning how to kill larger prey. Overnight, interest turned to fear. The Valkyrie were summoned for explanation. "You must be misinterpreting. Zira cannot become predators. It's genetically suppressed. We engineered them over centuries to be peaceful." The ambassador insisted. But human scientists already knew the truth. Suppression wasn't the same as deletion. Under human companionship, our chaos, our unpredictability, our resilience, the Zira were evolving. Fast. Colonel Dane Harker of Earth's Joint Defense Command was the first to suggest a military evaluation. It was laughable at first. Using an alien lap pet in combat? Absurd. Then a unit of domesticated Zira was released into a jungle training zone with standard surveillance. Their task: find and tag hidden soldier dummies. No help, no commands. They marked every single one within 30 minutes. In complete silence. Using shadows and ambush patterns taken straight from apex predators. One Zira even used mud to mask its thermal signature. The military reclassified the species. Adaptive combat entities, Tier 3. Scientists scrambled to determine what had triggered the change. Was it exposure to Earth's environment? Our neural patterns? Emotional stress? Turned out to be all of the above. Human influence, especially emotional bonding, acted as a catalyst. The more time a Zira spent with emotionally intense humans, the more it changed. Their eyes grew sharper, their limbs more muscular, their teeth hardened, and most unsettling of all, they began to show independent strategic thought. They didn't just copy humans. They learned from us. When the Valkyrie delegation returned to Earth for emergency negotiations, Ambassador Vell leaned heavily on his walking staff, eyes wide with disbelief. "You turned our peace companions into killers," he whispered, watching archived footage of Zira disabling motion sensors and disabling synthetic sentries in a mock urban zone. "We didn't turn them into anything," General Harker responded flatly. "They were always capable. You just kept them small. We gave them freedom. They did the rest. This is monstrous." "No, this is humanity. You gave us a toy. We gave it a challenge. It responded." The ambassador left that meeting with a visible tremble in his stride. Months later, Zira had become part of specialized human operations units. They weren't controlled, they volunteered. Bonded to their human partners through a deep emotional link, they served in recon, stealth sabotage, and even high-risk infiltration. And they were terrifyingly good at it. One captured enemy commander described it during interrogation. "We saw the human soldiers. We fought them, but it was the shadows that killed us. The little things, with eyes that never blinked. You never heard them, never saw them coming. Only the screams of the men beside you." It wasn't long before other alien species took notice and feared. The Valkyrie tried to recall the remaining Zira, but none returned. Not one.